Welcome, everyone. I'm Mark, the creator of TeachMePCB and co-facilitator of this year's course. This year, we're making macro pads, little keypads that you can hook up and program to do your bidding. It's a lot of fun, and this is the week y'all have been waiting for. Week 7, you get to do PCB layout, and I'm excited for you. But before we talk about this week, there's a few bits of record keeping from last week that I want to follow up on. So let's get over to the laptop view here. So last week, you should have captured your entire schematic. That is a skill that you certainly need to have. I am going to ask Jesse during office hours tonight if he will be willing to share his, because we know it's a known good copy, as a checkpoint for the KiCad users. So in case you didn't get it all done, in case, life got in the way, whatever, you can jump back into the course again this week and start with layout. So that is super exciting. And I'm sure he'll say yes. He just might want to do a little bit of cleaning it up first. I don't know. We'll find out. You should have last week done a testimonial. So these I'm going to use for two purposes. One is, we'll just call it what it is, propaganda. I'm going to use your reviews to promote the course in the future. And then the second thing is, it is useful feedback to me. Some of the things that I'm noticing is people feel it's not quite as organized as it needs to be. I hear you, and I'd like to work on that. So if you want to give me any tips, tricks, advice, anything that I could do to, make it feel a little more organized for you, I'd be happy to do it. Another comment from a few people. And by the way, it's not like people are giving me ones or anything. Everybody's been, 4 and 5. It's, A's and B's. It's great. But, some people are saying, well, maybe the facilitators aren't as approachable. Let me know what I can do to change that, because the best way for you to learn is to interact. And I want you to feel comfortable interacting. So if something about the course or about the way it's set up doesn't make you feel comfortable, and you feel comfortable sharing it with me, I know that's a little contradiction, you can do it anonymously. Go to Proton Mail or something, create an anonymous account and send it to me if you're more comfortable doing that. But I'd be happy to work with you to figure out what that is. Anyhow, go to testimonials and fill that out. Now, something else that's going to happen when you do that is DigiKey is going to send you something once you fill out your testimonial. And I'm only going to give you a few more days to do it, because then we need to move on. I'm going to submit your email to DigiKey, and DigiKey is going to send you some sort of gift. I'm still not entirely clear on what that is. I'm working with somebody new this year. Last year, the gift was the parts, but we bought the parts ahead of time. So this year, they're going to send you something. I don't know what that something is. And it might be country dependent. I'm not entirely sure. Finally, parts kit. I really need to get these out to you. So I've got, here it is. I have the parts for the course. I guess we can go back to big screen. I bought them before the course ever started. We've got rotary encoders. We've got, all the ICs, all the capacitors. The only thing I'm a little short on, and I'm not too worried about it, are the switches. But it sounds like you guys are mostly taking care of that yourself. I do hear that the 595 IC is of limited availability now, which it's just the environment we live in. Everything's changing. I've got them I can ship to you if you don't have anything. But Jesse's investigating using the the 2811 IC. That's an option. We also found another RGB IC driver, although then you'd need your own firmware. That's kind of a hassle. So we think if I have the IC right, the WS2811, it's available, and you would use it just like you would use any of the other NeoPixels on the board, the WS2812s. Just hopefully you should just be able to hook it up in line, move on with life. And that will be the way that we'll go. But I think Jesse's going to test that before we recommend it. Anyhow, this is all stuff we want to work through with you before you commit your final footprints so that you have parts that you can put on your board, because if you don't, it's just going to suck. I mean, and we don't know when this silicone shortage is going to be over. So we want to get that figured out for you too. All right, that is last week. And just to summarize once again, fill out your testimonials if you haven't already. Fill out your part kits request if you haven't already. Okay. This next week, I'm actually going to string over two, and I'll tell you my theory behind that in a little bit. But this week for the README, we've got the announcements that we're doing right now. That'll show up here in just a minute as soon as I stop recording. You should have completed all of last week's stuff, and this week you're going to lay out the board. So I've got two basically example videos for you. One using Autodesk Eagle. This is based off of last year's design, but Autodesk, I think it was George Garcia, did a great job of making these videos for us. Very straightforward, very easy to understand. Even if you're not using Eagle, it should still make sense to you. He's a good engineer. He did a good job, great job. Now, I also recorded, it ended up being like 9 hours of video, start to finish. It was nuts. So after you record 9 hours of video, well, then you have to watch 9 hours of video to edit it down. So I edited it down to 2 hours of video from 9. Not going to say it's the best video I've ever made. You're going to see me struggle. There's some parts where I did fast forward and there's no audio, but that was mostly just to get the time down. I deleted a bunch of stuff. Anyhow, everybody struggles. It's just the way that it is. Don't worry about it too much. You can make this board and connect the components with jumper wires, and it's still going to work. You can design for connectivity. It's still going to work. If you can make the project on a solderless breadboard and it works, you really don't need to worry about how you lay out your board. You don't. You just don't. That said, we're going to try to do a good job. So you'll see me struggle. You'll see me flail a little. You'll see me change things unnecessarily a bunch of times. You're going to be doing the same things. My final design is this little purple thing over in the right-hand corner. And towards the end there, we zoom in on it. Let's see if I can pull that up for you and give you an idea of what we're looking to do. The basic idea, when all said is done, is that you have an, oh, nope, that's too far, is that you have an uninterrupted return path underneath each and every trace. Let's see if we can view it here. Kinda. Oh, well, that's a great thumbnail. No. Where is it? I guess we can kind of see it here. But if you follow every trace in this sample design that I did, by the time I get to the end, there is continuous copper. That's the purple, the lower layer, underneath each and every one of these. You know something? It occurs to me that I am on the it's been a long day. I'm on the computer where I laid this out. I can just open it up. Let's do that. Oh, man. I tell you. Oh, the file is blocked from changes. One moment. Let's get rid of that. Let's try it now. Okay. So if we follow every single trace, like for example, these are the USB differential pair. Let me turn off some things to hopefully make it a little clearer. We need the top. We need the bottom copper pores. We just don't want the top. Sorry about this. Unpored. Okay, so now we can see it a little better. So yellow is top, purple is bottom. So once we leave that USB connector, it is one solid piece of copper the whole way over. And the same is true for everything. Uninterrupted copper. right? If I go to the second layer, it's a complete path all the way back. That's what we're aiming for, and that's what we're aiming for with all of our traces. Now, any trace that you pick, like this one, uninterrupted copper the entire way back, so that when a signal propagates down this line, there is a return current generated underneath it as it goes, displacement current. And if you have that traced the whole way, you got no worries. You're going to have a board with good signal integrity, good power integrity, and low electromagnetic emissions. There are going to be times when you have to change layers. Well, what does that look like? Well, for this, I do have to turn on all these nasty vias. So for example, I needed to make a connection between the 5-volt power here, and I had to get that way over to the other side. So here's how I did that. First of all, I'm on the top layer now. Top layer is yellow. So it goes from the power, it goes up. Sorry. And then when I do have to change sides, right? I can't route, I put in mounting holes on this board for alignment, just because why not make my life more difficult than it needs to be? But I've got no way to get out. I can't get this trace out of the Pico footprint until I change sides. So I change sides underneath a ground connection, right? If I re-pour that ground layer, yeah, I change sides, but there is still a continuous return path underneath there. I could beef it up by moving some vias right next to it, move these, move these ground vias or add a couple of vias to it so that it's that much easier for the current to make the transitions up and over, and do the same thing over here. I've got vias all over this place. I'm not too worried about it. Now, I keep going up and over until I can't anymore. I've got to cross like 6 wires here. Well, how do you do that? So in this case, I'm going to use a jumper wire on the bottom side. There will still be a continuous uninterrupted path of copper right back here that this wire can couple to. And then once I get back to the other side, I'm back in business and I can continue routing the trace. So on every trace, the goal, and by the way, you don't need to achieve this goal. Again, you can route this any which way your project will work. But the goal is to try to find a route that gives you uninterrupted return path underneath. And if you do have to change layers, that's fine, but do it in such a way that you still have uninterrupted return paths. That's why I came under on the ground pin here. So I could use the ground copper pour as the uninterrupted return path. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, let me go see if there's any questions and then I'll continue. None yet. All right. Y'all are quiet. One other thing, one of the nice things about using hierarchical layouts is this. It's going to group everything for me. And you'll see this in the thing. So when you first dump all the parts onto a board, it's just a big fat mess. You can do things like arrange the components, but then, you've got to get everything together that needs to go together and, blah, blah. It's just a hassle. So the nice thing about the hierarchical routing is that you can have it find these parts for you and set them off to the side for routing. You can say, hey, I don't know, but I want to, here, let me use the first one so it's easier for me to find. Let's change sides. Let's say that I want these things to be the smallest that they can be. Free rotate here. So I've decided that these things need to go on the back side. So I do a layout where that happens. And then you can go to hierarchy, and those are the addressable LEDs. I've laid out this one. I want to copy the placement to the other one. So I lay out one, and it does it for all the others. See the power of the hierarchical layout? Why people use flat layouts is it's just nuts. Once you figure this out, you're like, man, I'm saving so much time. A little parts like this, are you saving a ton of time? No. But look at how many parts you have to lay out for the rotary encoder. If you had, 2 rotary encoders, it's not so bad. But, what if you have a bunch more? What if you have, you know, you're doing some MIDI project and you got 12 of them? It's a pain in the butt. So the hierarchical layout solves that for you. What else is there for you to know? I think that's about it. Join Discord. That will get you the quickest answers to all your questions. There are multiple channels of communication. That makes life difficult for you. I'm trying to move everybody towards Discord for instant gratification, really. I mean, that's the fastest way that you're going to get an answer to your problem. We are still looking for a way to hook that back into the forums, but everybody's busy. Life's busy. I'm going to take a couple days off in these upcoming weeks and disconnect. I've noticed my productivity is dropping. Like for example, today I've already got 9 hours in, and we're going to do another one with the office hours in this. So mental health days are important. You should take some too. We're going to get through this project. We're in the home stretch. I want you to be successful with your first project. It's not going to cost much to get these boards made, $20. I might even be able to make them for you. I don't know yet. But we're going to get there. We're in the home stretch. Holidays are stressful. Disconnect for a day. I'm going to. I'll set the example. And then come back. And if you need help, ask. We're here for you. All right. So that is pretty much all that I've got for you with this week announcements. We're getting there. We are getting there. All right. Oh, we've got question from Andy. What are the pros cons of coupling to the ground plane versus coupling to a power plane? You can do both. If you couple to a power plane, you risk transferring noise into your power plane, which can be a problem in analog designs. So typically you want to couple to the ground, but you can absolutely couple to a power plane in some circumstances. So, all right, that's a great question for office hours, though. Join me up over there, Andy. We're going to start that in about 1 minute. So I'll see you guys then. Thank you to our sponsors, Advanced Assembly, Royal Circuit Solutions, DigiKey, OshPark, Walkwee, theanalog.io, which you need to sign up for, and everybody else. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in 1 minute. Bye.